The insuperable millionaire has everyone running until a newcomer stands her ground. Mia Hart stepped out onto the bustling streets of a city where gilded towers kiss the sky, their glossy surfaces gleaming in the afternoon sun. The air buzzed with laughter, luxury cars glided smoothly by, and the elite strolled with an air of superiority. Everywhere she looked, wealth reigned supreme. Yet, beneath the surface of this glittering facade, lay a darkness Mia knew all too well. It was a world she wanted to change, but ghosts from her past lingered, haunting her amidst this ostentatious paradise. The millionaire Richard Vale was the city's king. His name dripped from the lips of socialites, hanging like a curse. It was his careless decision that had altered the course of Mia's life forever, the tragic accident that had claimed her little brother Gabriel. She had witnessed the laughter of the wealthy echoing around as they celebrated, while she was left shattered, her heart in pieces. He was a figure larger than life, surrounded by an army of loyal minions, yet utterly devoid of compassion. No one dared challenge him, until now. As a new recruit at Hearts United, Mia was filled with ambition to help the underprivileged. She poured her soul into this charitable initiative, a chance to lift the veil on Vale's cold cruelty. Despite the sparkle and shine around her, she could feel the weight of her past pressed down like an anchor, suffocating but igniting a fire. Within, with every person she met, every story they whispered of Vale's dark practices, her resolve strengthened. The city needed to know. They needed to see what lay hidden behind Vale's polished exterior. One day, while rifling through documents for an upcoming gala, Mia stumbled on a confidential file. Her heart raced. Deals stacked against the very community she sought to uplift. Sweaty palms trembled as she absorbed the details of corruption and manipulation. This was the proof she needed, a ticket to reveal Vale's world. But even as excitement pulsed through her, a shadow loomed over her discovery. Would anyone believe a newcomer like her? Suddenly, whispers curled around her like smoke. She turned to see Alex Vale, Richard's enigmatic son, leaning against the doorway. He had that dangerous glint in his eyes, the kind that made her pulse quicken. But could she trust him? Mia felt the heat of apprehension flood her cheeks. He stepped forward, curiosity sparking in his gaze. "What are you looking at, Mia?" Just as she was about to share her findings, the door swung open, and a chilling voice echoed through the hall. "Get away from her, Alex." It was Richard Vale himself. The tension thickened, leaving everyone in silence. The weight of his presence was overpowering. A pallor of dread washed over the room as the air thickened, and Mia felt her heartbeat resonating in her ears. Mia's eyes flickered between father and son, desperation clawing at her insides. Had she taken on too much? Could she really stand up to the insuperable millionaire? 1,000 questions marked the juncture she treaded upon. As she gathered her courage, the future loomed uncertain, fraught with dangers she never anticipated. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button, because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Mia's heart thundered in her chest as she stood between the two veils, the air so thick with tension she felt like she couldn't breathe. Richard's eyes blazed with a menacing fury, and Alex's expression shifted from curiosity to concern. "Dad, wait." Richard pointed a finger at Mia, his voice cutting through the air like glass. "You're playing a dangerous game, girl. You don't have the slightest idea who you're dealing with." Mia felt a chill race down her spine. She wanted to stand firm, to shout that she was done being afraid. But the weight of his disdain pressed down on her. The room felt smaller, as if the walls were closing in. "Leave her alone." Alex's voice rang out, suddenly forceful. She's not afraid of you. Richard turned to his son, his expression unreadable, and for a second, Mia saw a flicker of something lost in Alex's eyes. Desperation? Anger? But then it was gone, replaced by the same cold demeanor she had seen in his father. Let's go, Alex. Richard's voice was sharp, but as he turned to leave, Mia felt a swell of certainty rise within her. She couldn't back down now. Wait, I found something, she called out, her voice louder than she intended. The two men paused. I know about the corruption. I know what you've done to Gabriel's community. Richard's eyes narrowed, and the room felt electric. For a heartbeat, silence wrapped around them. Then Richard laughed, a low, cruel sound. You really think you can take me down with your little discoveries? You can't even begin to understand the lengths I'll go to protect what's mine. Mia clenched her fists, the anger boiling within her. You're wrong. People will believe me. I'm not going to let you destroy any more lives. People, Richard scoffed. What people? The ones who financially feed off my success. You think you can turn them against me? Before she could respond, a loud crash erupted from backstage, and the sound sent a jolt through the room. The door flew open, and chaos spilled in. A figure she recognized, an old friend from her past, stood there, panic in their eyes. Mia, they screamed, breathless. You need to come with me, now. It's about Gabriel. Her heart dropped. The mention of her brother was like a dagger to her chest. What do you mean? He's gone. I thought he was too, but... The person's voice trembled, and the room's atmosphere shifted tighter, filled with dread. There's something you don't know, something Richard has been hiding, about Gabriel's accident. Mia felt her world tilt. Her mind raced. What could it be? What are you talking about? The buzzing crowd silenced into a stillness thick enough to suffocate, all eyes on her. Richard's expression soured into a mix of disbelief and something darker. Suddenly, Alex stepped forward, his expression torn. Wait, he called out, desperation creeping into his voice. What do you mean? Something about Gabriel? I didn't know. Then you need to listen, the friend pressed, trembling with urgency. Time is running out. He's alive, Mia. You need to see for yourself. The room spun as Mia's entire existence shattered and reformed around this revelation. Alive? Was it possible? The wildfire of emotions ignited, a mix of hope and confusion, and it drove her forward. Tell me everything, she demanded, feeling both the weight of her past and the flicker of a new path unfolding before her. Richard's face twisted, his composure cracking, revealing a glimpse of the man beneath the polished exterior. Mia glanced between father and son, Alex's face pleading and Richard's mask of power slipping. What are you hiding? The question hung in the air, thick and charged, ready to pull apart everything she thought she understood, leaving her gasping for answers and desperate for the truth. The room vibrated with tension, and Mia felt as if the walls themselves could collapse around her. Tell me everything, she pressed again, her voice louder now, firm with urgency. Richard's face darkened, his composure slipping like a poorly painted canvas revealing a chaotic picture beneath. Enough, he barked. The air crackled as he stepped closer, an impending storm radiating from him. I won't allow you to turn this place into your personal soapbox, girl. The onlookers, once just a blur of faces, shifted uneasily as they absorbed the electricity surging through the hall. They sensed it too, the danger coiling within this encounter. Mia, you don't know what you're getting into, Alex said softly, yet there was a note of urgency creeping into his voice. He looked torn between his father and her, pulled in two opposing directions. But before she could respond, an unexpected crash pierced the silence, like a bomb exploding in their midst. A figure burst through the door, wild-eyed and frantic. It was someone Mia hadn't seen in years. Mia, we need to go, now. The familiar face, once a friend from her childhood, was gaunt, eyes wide with fear. They're coming for you. Richard's men. They know. You're in danger. What are you talking about? Mia exclaimed, confusion washing over her like ice water. What do you mean? The friend grabbed Mia's arm, their grip like a vice. I thought they buried it, but they didn't. Gabriel's alive, and he knows everything, Mia. He knows about the accident, about Richard's real dealings. He remembers. The world narrowed to just her and that voice. Alive? The word echoed, pounding in her head. Could it be true? She wanted to scream, to leap, to tear down the wall of lies, but the confusion gripped her. What do you mean he remembers? The friend's breath hitched. He can prove it. Richard has hidden more than just the accident. He's been controlling everything. Gabriel may hold the key to exposing it all. The crowd reacted in hushed whispers, eyes darting around like frightened birds. Richard's men raised an eyebrow, sensing the shift, the unsettling truth shattering the illusion. Mia, please, the friend pleaded, voice trembling. We have to go, now, before he knows we're here. And suddenly, like a door slamming shut in her mind, Mia felt pressure building. Richard's face turned a shade paler, a fleeting moment of vulnerability. You're lying, he hissed. His bravado cracking. Do you think you can do this? Do you think you can ruin me? I'm not lying, the friend screamed, eyes wild with panic. He's been living with this. You've buried him alive, trapped him. A domino effect pulled the crowd tight. Gasps rippled. Through the onlookers, accusations mingling with fear. Many stepped back, unsure, eyes darting back to Richard's boiling anger, awaiting his response. Suddenly, Alex's face twisted in dawning horror. Is it true? Dad, tell me it's not true. The plea escaped like a wounded animal, and Mia felt her heart leap into her throat. Richard's fury melted into something darker, more sinister. He cast a sweeping glance at the room, a predator sizing up his prey. You're just trying to shake my foundation, and it won't work. Mia exchanged a frantic look with her friend. What else is there? Who else knows? The urgency pressed against her, squeezing her chest as her mind raced. It's bigger than we thought, the friend murmured. If Gabriel is alive, and if Richard has been holding him. Before they could process further, the lights flickered, then plunged them into darkness. A power outage? Gasps filled the room, panic spilling out across the crowd like spilled ink. Heart racing, Mia's pulse drummed in her ears. She turned to grab her friend, but they had vanished into the shadows. All around her, chaos erupted, voices merging into a cacophony. Silhouettes darted, whispers turned into shouts, and the tension thickened like fog. In that suffocating blackness, the realization hit her. A new fear laced her resolve. If Gabriel was alive, then what had Richard truly kept hidden all these years? Where are you, she called, desperation clawing at her throat. But there was only silence. Richard's voice echoed through the dark, cold and steady. You think you can expose me? Not in this lifetime. Mia stepped forward, bristling with determination. I won't back down. But as her words rang out into the void, a shudder ran through the crowd. And deep down she felt it. The knowledge that nothing could ever be the same again. The game had changed. The stakes were higher than she ever imagined. What other secrets lay buried? What was the truth about Gabriel? In that moment, with her heart hammering in her chest and the world around her shifting like sand, the question loomed. Was she truly ready to face what awaited them in the shadows? Mia stepped back, pulse racing and breath quickening as the darkness engulfed her. The chaos around her became an unsettling symphony of panic, and her heart pounded against her ribcage like a wild creature trying to escape. Just when hope flickered in her chest, the panic surged. Where are you? She shouted again, voice trembling but fierce. Silence fell for an instant. Then, the room burst open once more, as any semblance of calm shattered like glass. A figure stumbled in through the chaos, illuminated by the sporadic flashes of emergency lights flickering above. Mia, it's time to go. The voice cut through, familiar, yet fraying at the edges. It was Tommy, an old friend, someone she thought she'd never see again. His face was pale, eyes wide with terror. Right now. No. Questions. What are you doing here? Mia gasped, confusion swirling in her mind. I can't just leave. What about Gabriel? But Tommy's eyes darted past her. There's no time. You have to trust me. He reached for her arm, urgency radiating from him. He's not who you think he is. None of this is what you believe. The crowd murmured, tension hanging thick like thunderclouds. Richard Vale's shadow loomed, eyes narrowed, watching, waiting. "What nonsense are you spouting?" he barked. Voice laced with fury. "I can prove it," Tommy shouted, stepping forward, defiance in his stance. "The accident, the guilt, it's all a terrifying facade. You need to know the truth, Mia. If you want to save Gabriel, save him." Mia felt the ground tremble beneath her as more questions flooded in. "What do you mean?" Suddenly, the lights blinked back on, illuminating Richard's furious, red face and Alex's expression of disbelief. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Then, in the stark white light, Mia spotted the unmistakable mark of fear cross Tommy's features. And against that formidable backdrop, he took a shaky breath. "This isn't the first time I've seen this," he continued, voice quaking. "You don't understand. Gabriel, he's not just alive. He wasn't supposed to be. Everything, this whole plan, it's to protect him from the truth." Richard's lips curled into a sneer, dismissive but guarded. "And you think you'll expose me with these wild claims?" "No," Tommy shouted, desperation lacing his voice. "The truth is worse. It links everything. The accident, your empire, your family. Mia, Gabriel is not who you think he is. He's been hidden for a reason." Mia's chest tightened at the implications. Her mind raced, trying to piece together Tommy's wild assertions. "What do you mean he's not who I think he is? Who is he?" A moment of deafening silence echoed around them, the air thick with uncertainty. Then, the confidence drained from Tommy's demeanor, leaving a raw vulnerability. "Gabriel isn't just your brother. He's the key to exposing everything Richard built. But it goes deeper than you can imagine. You're all in danger." What was happening? The truth felt slippery, shifting under her feet like sand. She struggled to breathe, caught between shock and the flickering hope of uncovering something monumental. Without warning, Alex stepped forward, eyes pleading now. "Tommy, just tell her the truth. She needs to hear it." Richard's expression soured, an ember of panic shining through. "You'll regret this claim, Tommy. You don't know what you're tampering with." But the crowd was buzzing, searching for answers amidst the chaos. Mia took a step closer to Tommy, desperation clawing at her insides. "What truth? What have you been hiding?" But just as he opened his mouth, the emergency lighting flickered violently, throwing them into darkness again. A shriek cut through the air, and then another crash erupted from the backstage. Mia's heart raced. She could feel the walls closing in. This was not just about Gabriel anymore. It was bigger, deeper. "No, wait, please," she shouted into the darkness. But her voice vanished. The whispers morphed into screams, and she felt hands gripping her shoulders, pulling her in different directions. Was she losing them all? "Follow me," Tommy's voice rang out clearly in the chaos, "before you lose everything you hold dear." And as they lunged toward the exits, Mia's heart sank. She realized the most gutting truth of all. Nothing was what it seemed. As fear gripped her mind, one question loomed. Was she ready to discover what that truly meant? Chaos erupted. Voices mixed in a frantic symphony, rising in pitch. Mia felt Tommy's grip on her arm, pulling her through the crowd. Panic surged as they dodged frightened faces, jolting against the chaos. "Mia, we don't have time," he shouted, urgency laced in every word. The shadows swayed around them, as if the darkness had come alive. She could barely catch her breath. "What about Gabriel?" she demanded, heart racing. "I need to know the truth." But Tommy kept moving, darting through the wave of bodies. "Trust me, it's not just about him." The emergency lights flickered back on, illuminating the fear etched on the faces before her. Richard Vale loomed, a hunting predator, eyes glinting with threat. Alex stood frozen, caught in the tension, a storm of confusion swirling within him. "Mia," Alex's voice cut through. "What do you mean it's not just about Gabriel?" "Listen," Mia shouted. Back, desperate, but just then, as if the universe was spinning wildly against them, an explosion of sound ripped through the air. A shot rang out. It pierced the chaos like a knife, freezing time itself. A collective gasp spread across the crowd, a cascade of shock. The light caught Richard's expression, transforming his usual arrogance into something primal, something terrified. Tommy jerked, the grip on Mia tightening. "Run!" he shouted, voice raw. Now, but fear gripped Mia's heart like a vice. The echo of the gunshot reverberated. People screamed, scrambling for the exits. The walls felt like they were closing in. "Mia," Tommy urged again, pulling her along. "We need to get away from here." Suddenly, in the midst of retreat, there was a sharp cry cutting through the noise. Alex shouted, "Dad, are you all right?" Mia looked back, and in that fraction of a second, the world spun violently. Richard was clutching his arm, rage twisting his features. Blood seeped through his crisp shirt, staining the fabric. "Get out," Richard growled, eyes dark with a mixture of shock and fury. "Get everyone out." "Mia, come on," Tommy urged, pulling her through the panicked crowd towards the emergency exit. But she hesitated. "Continue." Another shout cut him off. "Stop," a voice echoed, this one commanding, authoritative. A tall figure emerged from the chaos. It was an officer, striding through the panicked crowd, his badge gleaming in the emergency light. "Mia Hart," he called, and every head turned. "We need you to come forward. Now." Mia's breath caught in her throat. Every eye in the room settled on her. Why would they want her? What had she done? Confusion danced through the air, thick and unsettling. "Why me?" she stammered, anxiety roiling. "It didn't make sense." "Because you're the only one who can help," the officer replied, urgency mixed with desperation. "Mia, don't." Tommy's warning echoed as the officer stepped closer. "You don't know what's going on." But the plea was drowned out. The officer's eyes bore into her. "I need to talk to you about Gabriel. There's something you don't know." The air went still. The crowd, once a maelstrom of noise, fell into an oppressive silence. Mia's mind spun, trying to piece together the fragments. Not just about Gabriel. Before she could fathom the weight of those words, distant yet close, she heard it. A low rumble, a soft growl, like thunder rolling in the distance. Just as confusion threatened to engulf her, Tommy let go of her arm, his face draining of color. "Mia, you need to run," he shouted, panic spiraling through his voice, and then it happened. A violent crash as the floor beneath trembled. The back wall burst open, a figure emerging from the darkness, casting a shadow so black it seemed to swallow the light. "Mia!" The voice was jagged, desperate. "They're here, they're coming for you." In that moment, every truth she thought she knew splintered, shattering into a million pieces. Who was this figure? What secrets lay buried in the shadows of her brother's past? The question hung heavy in the air, pressing down on her. Was Gabriel truly alive? And if he was, what did that mean for them all? Heart pounding. Mia's world twisted as the room spiraled into chaos once more. Uncertainty pressing like a weight on her soul. And she realized, whatever truth lay ahead would change everything. Would she even be ready to face it? The figure standing in the doorway seemed to absorb all the chaos around them, their presence electrifying the air. Mia squinted, squashing down the fear that swelled with each heartbeat. "Who are you?" she shouted, but the room was a maelstrom of noise, everyone grappling with panic. "Mia, we can't stay." The urgency in Tommy's voice pulled her back, but her eyes locked onto the stranger. Something about their stance. The familiarity in their eyes, it was unsettling. "Mia," the officer's voice broke through, his expression a mix of concern and authority. "We need to evacuate now." The lights flickered again, and it felt like time stretched, as if the world was holding its breath. "What's going on?" Mia yelled, trying to piece it all together. She could sense the urgency rising like a tidal wave, ready to sweep everyone away. But then, just as she opened her mouth to ask again, the figure lurched into view. The crowd parted like water, revealing Gabriel. Mia's heart stopped. The world around her faded into silence. There he was, looking older but undeniably alive. She had dreamt of this moment, clawed through years of grief, and now he stood before her, breaths coming quick and jagged. "Mia, we need to go. They're coming." His voice shook, and she felt raw emotion tearing through her chest. Relief, disbelief, fear. Was he real? "Gabriel," she whispered, stepping forward. "Is it really you?" He looked around, panic etched on his face. "It's not safe here. I'll explain everything later, just trust me." "Mia, no," Tommy shouted, but she was already moving, past the bodies pressing in on her, weaving through the chaos as Gabriel reached for her. "I thought I lost you," she cried, grabbing his arm like he was her lifeline. But before she could pull him into an embrace, Richard's roar cut through the air, filled with rage. "Get away from him!" Richard's booming voice was filled with danger, echoing harshly in the confined space. His eyes were locked on Gabriel with a fury that made the very air feel heavy. "Don't listen to him. He's lied to you all," Gabriel shouted, his voice urgent and desperate. "He's not who you think he is." The crowd swayed, uncertainty rippling through the group. Richard glared, vicious and wild, and Mia felt herself waver. "What do you mean?" "Your brother. He's been manipulated. Richard has used him, disguised the truth. He's been hiding." And then everything erupted. A deafening crash, accompanied by screams of horror as the back wall caved in, shifting more than just the building structure. Dark figures swept in like shadows. Agents at Richard's command, armed and ready. "Run!" Tommy screamed, but it was too late. Gabriel lunged toward her, grabbing her hand. "We have to go, now." The world dissolved into chaos once more. Amidst the panic, the sound of gunfire rang out. People shrieked, scattering like frightened birds. Mia stumbled, a hand gripping her shoulder. It was Alex, his face a mix of fear and realization. "Mia, don't! He's not your brother." "What? What do you mean?" The ground trembled beneath her as chaos erupted again. Shadows flitted by and Mia turned, eyes wide. "Listen to me," Alex shouted above the clamor. "Richard's right about one thing. Gabriel has to be stopped." "Mia, please," Gabriel cried out, desperately pulling her. "You have to believe me." But Richard's laugh echoed, a low and back and forth, defiant sound, sending a chill through Mia. "You're just a pawn in this game, Gabriel, and you'll never fit in here." Suddenly the floor buckled, and without warning, a section of it gave way. Screams filled the air as bodies tumbled, the very structure of their reality collapsing around them. "Get her out," Tommy shouted. In the frenzy, the crowd surged and Mia felt herself being pulled away, torn between Gabriel's desperate gaze and the chaos enveloping them. "Mia, please don't." As she fought against the grip dragging her back, she heard the sounds of sirens approaching, distant yet imminent. Everything around her spun, and in that moment of tension, she saw something in Gabriel's eyes, an emotion that felt profoundly wrong. Was he really her brother? The doubts twisted like blades in her gut, clawing at her belief. She realized with a mounting horror that maybe, just maybe, everything she thought she knew was a lie. And as the floor cracked beneath them, sending pieces of the world tumbling into darkness, she couldn't shake the chilling question that loomed like a storm above them. If he wasn't her brother after all, then what did that mean for her? And who was Gabriel, really? The floor cracked beneath Mia's feet, sending shards of her reality spiraling into uncertainty. Gabriel reached for her, eyes wide, desperation etched across his face. "We have to go," he shouted, voice trembling, pulling her toward the exit. But Mia hesitated, caught in a storm of emotions. Confusion roiled in her gut, a mixture of hope and doubt battling for dominance. "Gabriel, is it really you?" she gasped, not ready to let go of the dream she thought had been shattered forever. "Yes, but now isn't the time to question," he pleaded, glancing back at Richard, whose face twisted with a furious intensity, his arm bleeding profusely. Anger and desperation mingled, creating a potent cocktail of fear for anyone watching. "Mia, come on!" Tommy yanked at her, his own panic palpable. But the chaos erupted anew, shadows and figures swallowed by the sudden darkness. The flickering emergency lights surged back to life, illuminating the frantic crowd. Then, out of nowhere, a loud bang ricocheted through the space, drowning out the chaos. A beam from the ceiling gave way. Splintered wood rained down in sharp cracks that echoed against the walls, sending people diving for cover. In that chaotic moment, Mia caught a glimpse of something astonishing, light glittering on the ceiling. Tiles as if it were refracted through a prism. It danced in the air, mesmerizing and surreal. "Get back!" Alex shouted, trying to shield her. But all Mia could see was the luminescence continuing to swirl, almost like it had a life of its own. Then, right as the lights began to flicker dimly again, she saw it. A glinting silver object tumbling down through the darkness. It landed with a heavy thud by Gabriel's feet, and he froze, eyes widening with disbelief. "Get away from that!" Richard yelled, voices blending together in chaos. But it was too late. Gabriel's hand shot out, snatching it up. Mia's heart thundered as he straightened, holding it up. A pendant, glimmering with a familiar symbol. A silver key. Interlaced with a heart, exactly like the one she remembered her mother wearing before the accident. "No, no way," Mia breathed. Her mind raced. "That can't be yours. That was Mom's." "What?" Tommy's confusion was clear, an echo of her own. "Wait, how do you know about that?" Looking at Gabriel, Mia felt like the fabric of her past was unraveling. "You didn't tell me about Mom's necklace. We thought it was lost." Gabriel's expression darkened, and the corners of his mouth twisted into a painful frown. "It wasn't just lost. Richard hid it, and so much more." Richard lunged forward. "Enough games." His voice cut through the noise with the finality of thunder. "You think that trinket brings you power? Foolish children." But Mia felt a swell of strength within her. The pendant was proof. It was a piece of their family, a link she thought had been severed forever. Her heart clenched, realizing just how deep this ran. "Gabriel," she whispered, searching his eyes. "What else are you hiding?" Then, in a move that shocked them all, Richard lunged forward, grabbing the pendant from Gabriel's hands. The room froze as everyone watched the depth of his fury unfold. But just as he grasped it, the glimmer of light, bright and intense, exploded like a firework, enveloping Richard, sending him crashing backward against a wall. A shockwave pulsed, knocking everyone off their feet. Mia found herself tumbling to the ground, the air stolen from her lungs. Confusion reigned, but one thought clawed its way to the front of her mind. What just happened? When Tommy helped her scramble back up, her eyes flew to where Richard had landed. But he wasn't unconscious. He was staring blankly, his lips parting as he uttered words too soft for anyone to hear. Then she saw it. Deep in his gaze, a flicker of something familiar was reflected there. It was fear. But not just any fear. It was the kind that tasted like betrayal. "Everything you thought you knew." Richard's voice was strained, but steady, a hint of resignation creeping in. "You're all twisted in this. You have no idea." Mia's breath caught, the air heavy with unresolved truths. "What do you mean?" she pressed, her heart racing with a mix of dread and urgency. And then, in that charged moment, everything shifted. Alex's expression turned from concern to realization, and he stepped closer to Richard, searching. "Dad, what did you do?" The ground beneath them trembled once more. As the wildfire of uncertainty blazed on, Mia heard the lingering question echoing through the air. Could their family ever truly be whole? Mia stood breathless, the chaos swirling around her. Richard's eyes burned with rage, but in that moment she felt a shift, an unsettling tremor in the air. Everyone hung on Richard's next words, a frozen tableau of tension and disbelief. The weight of the pendant seemed to anchor them in a reality that felt increasingly like a nightmare. "What do you think you can do with that?" Richard hissed, his voice like ice. "It doesn't matter now. You've lost." Gabriel stepped forward, trembling but fierce. "You thought I was just a pawn? Think again." I'm more important than you know. The crowd drew closer, whispering, eyes darting between the three figures of tension. The brothers torn apart by fate, the powerful father wrestling with his demons. Amongst the murmurs, one voice rose, breaking the hush like glass shattering. "Don't you see?" a woman screamed from the back. "It's the truth that will set you free. He's been lying." Mia's heart raced. Was she only beginning to understand? The raw flicker of truth igniting in the air, mingling with fear. "What truth?" she cried out, barely able to keep her voice steady. "Gabriel, what is he hiding? What does any of this mean?" Suddenly, Richard laughed. It was haunting, echoing with layers of menace. "You really think you understand? None of you do." Then he turned to Gabriel, his own son, rage coiling tightly around every word. "Do you really think if you expose me, you'll save anyone? You're already lost." Gabriel's face twisted in pain, but he held strong, eyes fierce. "You don't own me, Father, and you don't control the truth anymore." But before anything else could register, the air shifted again, charged with a sudden rush of power. A blinding light filled the room. The emergency lights flickered, filled with pinpricks of luminescence. Then the noise, a deafening clang, reverberated through the hall, drowning their words. Mia squinted, trying to shield her eyes from the blaring light. But then she saw it. The beams of light converged on one spot, illuminating a figure stepping out into the chaos. When the light receded, she felt her stomach drop. It was not just any figure. It was her mother. "Mia," her mother cried, warmth radiating through her voice, grounding Mia amidst the uncertainty. "I'm here. I've been here all along." Every heart in the room seemed to freeze. Richard's furious expression morphed into anguish. "Mom?" Mia breathed, disbelief coursing through her veins. How is this possible?" "Mia," her mother said gently, yet there was urgency boiling beneath the surface. "There's so much you didn't know. I had to protect you both, but your brother is in danger. We all are." "Protect me." Richard's voice trembled with confusion and rage. "You were supposed to be gone. You were never supposed to return." The walls seemed to constrict around them, claustrophobic. Mia's breath quickened, a knot of dread tightening in her chest. "What do you mean return?" "I've seen alternate paths," her mother said, desperation lacing her words. "I went into hiding, to keep Gabriel and you safe from Richard's obsession with power, and the family secrets he buried." What secrets? Mia felt like the ground was shifting beneath her. She could barely grasp this new reality. Her mother was alive, and the foundation of her life was crumbling. "I made choices to protect you both under impossible circumstances, but now—" her mother's voice fell into a whisper. "It's time for you to know the truth about who you really are." Everything went quiet. The urgency crowded in. "Who am I?" Mia's voice was small. The question echoed through the silence, heavy with implications. But just as her mother opened her mouth to speak, a loud crash interrupted them. The lights flickered again, and chaos erupted. Dark figures poured in, agents of Richard's hidden empire, eyes glinting with malice. "Mia!" Gabriel shouted, eyes wide with panic. "We need to go, now." Mia's heart raced. Everything was spinning out of control. Her mother? Her identity? What secrets lay beneath it all? Time seemed to stretch, and in a split second, pulses raced as every heartbeat synced with a single terrifying question. What had her mother just revealed? The walls were crumbling. Could she truly face the realities of who she was meant to be? Mia stood there, heart racing, as she absorbed her mother's presence like a lifeline in a turbulent sea. The surreal moment warmed her inside, wrapping around her like a long-lost hug. But the chaos that surrounded them was far from over. Before her mother could speak again, the lights flickered violently, casting shadows that twisted unnervingly. Panic surged through the crowd. Shouts intermingled with the distant thud of approaching footsteps. "Mia, we need to escape," Gabriel urged, fear etched across his face. He gripped her arm tightly. "Now, But before she could move, the room filled with an overwhelming noise. Suddenly, the front doors burst open, and a swarm of dark figures flooded in, Richard's men, eyes glinting with an eagerness for chaos. "Mia, run!" Tommy shouted, shoving her toward the exit. Yet just as she turned, another explosion of sound rang out. The crowd gasped, eyes widening, as a figure emerged from the fray, stepping confidently into the room. It was a woman, clad in a sleek black suit, her hair pulled back sharply. "Enough!" she commanded, voice echoing like a gunshot. The chaos faded into shocked silence as everyone turned to her. Mia squinted, trying to place the intensity of her gaze. Recognition struck her as a memory flickered, an old family photo, the kind you only pull out during awkward family gatherings. "Mom?" Mia's voice trembled. Was this truly her mother? The confusion mingled with relief, but the woman gave her no reassurance. "Tessa," Richard growled, disbelief twisting his features. "You're supposed to be gone." "Nothing is over yet, Richard," she replied, eyes narrowing, "and you know that better than anyone." Mia felt like the ground had turned to quicksand. "Who are you?" she stammered, the edges of her world growing hazy. "I'm the one who saved you both," Tessa said, meeting her eyes with intensity. "And it's time you learned the truth about your family, Mia." "What truth?" Her heart raced, but Tessa's next. Words struck like a jolt of lightning. "Your brother. He's not just your brother. You're both adopted. The truth of your origin is hidden in the pendant," she exclaimed, pointing at the silver piece that Gabriel had dropped. Mia's stomach dropped. "What? No, that can't be right." Gabriel's face fell, and Mia's world shattered once more. Questions flooded her mind. "What do you mean, adopted?" The crowd erupted in murmurs, eyes darting between them, caught in the swells of disbelief. "This is a lie," Richard barked, but the rising tension in the air warned that his facade was cracking. "Not a lie, Richard," Tessa shot back, her voice slicing through the tension. "You thought you could control this secret? Everything is unraveling now." Mia felt her legs weaken, drowning in confusion. "But if I'm adopted, what does that mean for everything I believed?" The chaos around them blared into blurs of motion as Tessa rushed forward, urgency etched in her voice. "It means you're not just involved in this family game. You're a key player in something much bigger, and I had to protect you both." The air crackled with urgency, and then, something inside Gabriel shifted. "Does that mean Richard isn't really our father?" His voice trembled, unsteady. Richard's eyes darkened. "Enough. This distortion is only meant to confuse you." But before he could finish, the room trembled again. A loud crash echoed nearby, and the walls shook. Mia felt her heart thunder in her throat. "What's happening?" she yelled, fear clawing at her chest. Tessa began but was cut off by a deafening bang as the ceiling above cracked open, showering dust and debris. More dark figures poured in from the new opening, shadows that seemed determined to claim everything. "Mia!" Gabriel shouted, grabbing her again. "We need to get out." The room spun around them, a cyclone of chaos and secrets, and Mia felt the weight of truth pressing down, crushing her. If nothing was what it seemed, where would they go now? "Follow me," Tommy yelled, tugging her towards the nearest exit. But everything felt utterly uncertain. The darkness loomed, thick and suffocating. She couldn't shake the feeling that the most shocking revelation was still to come. As they stumbled into the chaotic street, the storm brewing inside her threatened to spill over. Questions ricocheted in her mind, but one surged to the top. If she wasn't who she thought she was, then who was she really? Mia's heart raced as she stumbled into the street, Gabriel's hand gripping hers tightly. The chaos of a collapsing venue behind them receded into a debilitating roar in her ears. The world outside was bathed in the harsh glow of flashing police lights, the air heavy with the acrid scent of smoke and fear. "Is this really happening?" she murmured, still reeling from revelation after revelation. Her mother's presence lingered in her heart, a comforting yet bittersweet ache. "Mom, you're alive. Focus, Mia." Gabriel's voice cut through her daze. "We need to get out of here." They darted down the street, pressing against the tide of retreating guests and law enforcement rushing toward the building. Fragments of conversations brushed past her, a mixture of terror and shock. The world outside felt surreal, almost like a movie scene spiraling out of control. "Where's Tommy?" she shouted, panic compressing her chest. She scanned the crowd, searching for their friend's familiar face. "He's back there." Gabriel pointed toward a group of people gathered behind them. "Come on." They pushed through the throng, adrenaline pushing her legs forward, as the chaos of the venue exploded behind them. The sound of shattering glass and panicked voices forming a haunting backdrop. Just as they reached the gathering, Tommy stepped into view, his expression a tumult of relief and worry. "Thank God," he gasped, rushing over to them. "Are you okay? I thought I lost you." "Just a bit shaken," Mia replied, still breathless from fear and disbelief. "Did you see my mom? Is she—" "She's safe," Tommy interrupted, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. "But we need to keep moving. Richard's men are still coming." Panic swelled anew. "Richard!" Mia felt like the ground had dropped beneath her. "What if he finds us? Then we'll deal with it. Together." Gabriel squeezed her hand tighter. "We can't let him win. Not now, not ever." And as they moved away from the remnants of their past, her mother, the pendant, and the truth, Mia felt a new warmth ignite within her, living and vibrant. She glanced back at the venue, a memory blurring with the shadows of pain and loss. "Keep moving," Tommy urged, propelling them down the street toward their faces of anonymity, where no identities were tied to the chaos behind them. As they reached a nearby cafe, the bright lights felt like sanctuary. They quickly slipped inside, hearts pounding like drums amidst the noise. Inside, they huddled in a corner booth beneath the comforting hum of chatter and clinking dishes. "What do we do now?" Mia asked, her voice low. "Richard will come after us. He's not going to let this go." Gabriel's jaw clenched, determination flickering in his eyes. "We expose him. We reveal everything. He can't control the truth forever." Tommy nodded. "Together. But first we need to gather our allies, the people who have suffered at his hands." Suddenly, the weight of their task bore down upon them like a storm cloud. "I don't even know what to say," Mia admitted, trembling slightly. "Speak from your heart," Gabriel replied softly. "They'll listen. They need to know they're not alone." Mia looked at him, feeling the rush of hope coalescing amid uncertainty. "And my mother?" The thought lingered, shimmering with possibility. What do we do with the truth she tried to protect? "Maybe it's time to bring it into the open," Tommy suggested, a flicker of excitement igniting. "You could reach out to her, Mia. Let her tell her side." Mia glanced around the bustling cafe, uncertainty gripping her heart. But then, a smile broke through. "Okay, let's do it. For Gabriel, for Mom, for everyone who suffered." They all raised their glasses in solidarity, an unspoken bond knitting them together amidst the fear. And as laughter echoed around them, they stepped forward into a new realm energized with possibility. Later, as the sun dipped beyond the horizon, Mia felt a surge of raw strength coursing through her. They would rise from the ashes of their past. Together. In that pivotal moment, she vowed to pursue the truth and reclaim their family legacy. A clash awaited, but when the call came, they would be ready. And amid it all, she felt a poignant goodbye to the girl she had been, open and exposed, yet bold and unyielding. It was finally time to confront the shadows. But wait, this is a moment you can't miss. Subscribe immediately to the channel, so don't miss any of the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about how this ends. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this unfolds. Don't wait even one more second to share this. Only real fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Your voice matters now more than ever.